This is Transfer Talk. Leicester City have no new signings and could be on the verge of losing two, if not more, key players before the window closes. The latest on Kasper Schmeichel and James Maddison to come. Chelsea are after a new left-back, and this man, Marc Cucurella, could well fit the bill. So can they get that deal over the line? Much more on those two stories in just a moment, but first to some breaking news for Liverpool, and Diogo Jota has signed a new long-term contract with the club. He had 2 years left on his previous deal, but after an impressive season, he has been rewarded with a new contract, which we understand will run until 2027. A deal that's been overseen by Julian Ward on the back of positive talks with George Mendes during the pre-season period. 21 goals for Jota last season in 55 appearances. Only the captain, Jordan Henderson, played more times for Liverpool in the last campaign. Let's just bring you a couple of quotes from Diogo Jota. He says, "I'm really proud, I have to say. Obviously, since I arrived 2 years ago, I established myself as an important player in this team. That's what I wanted from the beginning. Now, signing a new long-term deal, it's obviously, from the club's perspective, proof of the belief in myself as a player. For me, obviously, it's really good to establish I'll be here for a while." So the beginning of a new season, let's do it. He hasn't played at all in pre-season, has Jota, due to a hamstring injury, but he will be at Anfield for the foreseeable future. With me this afternoon, Nubaid Haroud, Michael Bridge and Kweku Afari are here. So, Michael, another big tick in the box for Liverpool over the course of this pre-season.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reward for what was a fantastic transfer from Wolves, wasn't it? I mean, Jurgen Klopp, I mean, we were talking off air, weren't we? Was he one of the top 5 Jurgen Klopp signings? And I think Nubaid gave me 20 other examples. I mean, Liverpool's recruitment has been top. They rarely get it wrong, and Jota's been absolutely fantastic, and clearly this is a reward for his excellent form over the last couple of seasons.
It's a brilliant way to get players to perform. You know, he started 39 games, 24 goals, 4 assists. Minutes per goal is 145, which is absolutely outstanding. I remember Aguero's numbers were really high as well. But it's a great way to get players to continually perform over and over again. You always have this incentive. He had 3 years on his deal. So for most clubs, they'll probably run that to the final year, then offer a new contract. Liverpool have said, you've been that good, we're going to offer you a fresh contract. You'd imagine more money, and you'll probably have another incentive to get the next one and the next one. That's how you get the best out of players.
Well, a couple of really good talking points there for the hashtag Transfer Talk. One of them, which we discussed earlier, was who has been the best signing under Jurgen Klopp, and it tells you a lot about the recruitment. We've had all sorts of answers. Virgil van Dijk, Alisson, Mo Salah, Thiago were all mentioned. The other question is, what is Liverpool's best front three, Kweku? If there was a Champions League final tomorrow, would Diogo Jota start?
I don't think he would. But that's just testament to how many great signings Jurgen Klopp has brought in to Liverpool. I think if there was a Champions League final tomorrow, I think you'd go with, we haven't seen enough of him, but Darwin Núñez through the middle, Mo Salah on the right, and Luis Diaz on the left.
That's a brave shout, because for the Community Shield, of course, Jota wasn't available, but Núñez didn't start. Firmino started. I think that's the beauty of having squad depth. Pep has this issue for year after year, and has it every single club he's been to. You want to have players that make you think, do I start my 90 million man, or do I start the man who's been sort of the identity of Liverpool in Firmino, or do I start Jota? It's a really good problem to have if you're Jurgen Klopp.
It was really interesting to hear one of Tottenham's former recruitment bods recently, Paul Mitchell, speaking, Michael, about how recruitment works. And he said, look, we don't just sort of pitch up on the 1st of June and think, right, lads, what shall we do? And that's the key with Liverpool, isn't it? That there'd been talk about the changing of a guard maybe from Salah, Mane and Firmino, and now you look ahead to the start of a new season. Luis Diaz arrived in January, Darwin Núñez, and a new contract now for Salah and for Jota.
Look, Paul Mitchell was the perfect example to speak to. He was the man who had the famous black box at Southampton. If you remember Adam Lallana going, oh, what happens there? They bring in Dusan Tadic. Oh, Ricky Lambert goes, they bring in Graziano Pelle. The Premier League clubs, you're serious clubs. You stand still, you go backwards in the Premier League. It's like Edu saying to me the other week, Gabriel Jesus, they've talked about him for 7 months, spoke to him potentially before that. Maybe Pep Guardiola knew that Gabriel Jesus was going to leave. Zinchenko was planned for long term. You have to plan long term. I mean, we talk about squad depth, though. Nubaid, do you not sort of maybe worry? We've got the World Cup coming up. We've got the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, the League. Is there enough for Liverpool? Are they covered?
Well, don't quote me on this, but for the World Cup, I'm pretty sure Liverpool are one of the best off teams in terms of players actually going away for the World Cup.
They are. You're right. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Mike. I needed it.
You can carry on with your career now that you've had endorsement from Michael.
My job there done. You've got Salah, you've got Diaz, you've got Nunez, you've got Jota who can play along the front three. You've also got Firmino. That's 5 really top players.
And I'll throw in 2 others who've looked really good in pre-season, Harvey Elliott and Fabio Carvalho as well.
I imagine Fabio Carvalho probably does play at some point in that front three. So there comes a point where I think you can have a little bit too much depth. You've got 5 really top players. You don't really want to add a 6th and a 7th because then you will have a problem of rotating too much.
And what you'd see as well, Liverpool at back end of the season, they looked a little bit leggy. And rotation is everything. There's going to be 5 subs as well this season, which is a massively important point. So having as much squad depth as possible, especially with this disjointed season where there's World Cup coming up in November, will definitely serve Liverpool well. And I feel like the players are going to get adequate minutes to keep them happy.